Okay, welcome. So we're talking tonight about writing your CV, maybe your first CV especially, and a cyber CV particularly. And I want to we'll talk a little bit about sort of skills and how to do it and using AI. That's for sure a big part. AI is changing our world so much. I've been reading about AI already for a couple of years, and it's going to change our lives. And for a while, it didn't change my life, and then it did. And so now my life has been changed by AI and I live differently and I work differently. I became a professor. I teach college courses. And I taught courses that I didn't know that much about the topic I was teaching, but AI helped me tremendously because it gave me a syllabus and a lesson plan and worksheets and so you could just do so much stuff with AI. And so you have to use it intelligently, of course, and it can't, you have to think and you have to take what it spits out and work with it and put it back and hone it and refine it. But if you don't use AI, then you're a fool. You're an idiot, right? Then you're backwards. You're a caveman, right? You're primitive. So it's very important. And I was happy to hear now how Aaron was integrating AI in his teaching of using these high tech these skills of ethical hacking and pen testing and so forth. AI is it's our future. So we're talking about creating your first CV, your most important business document, and particularly we're going to talk about using AI to solve the employer's pain points. Okay, so pain points are something's hurting, mashu koev lemishu, and it's your job to solve their pain, and an AI will help you do that. So let's dive in. So I'm introducing you now to the facts of life, okay? And the facts of life are that you should think of yourself like a company, okay? You yourself are like a startup. You're a one-man company or one girl company, and and your clients are the companies that are going to hire you, okay? And they have money and resources, and you're just out there and you're just starting out. So the game is rigged in their favor. But they need you to solve their problems, to cure their pain points. And so you got to market yourself in order to get yourself hired and to solve their pain points. Okay. So you need to have a strategy to advance yourself in order to provide for your financial future. That's why we're here to earn a parnasa. And so if you see yourself as a company and think of your CV as your marketing document, okay? So your CV is part of your branding package and who you are and what you're about, your professional values, and you're going to emphasize those things through your job interview if you get an interview, and you're going to dress a certain way and talk a certain way and behave a certain way and show them that you're a top level professional in order to earn a really good living, like Aaron is doing, right? Aaron took our course. He was an Avrech in the mirror. And today he's a top level professional and he earns really nicely and he does cool stuff and he's teaching and he's doing. So he's a super successful professional by doing all the right things. He keeps learning new stuff, right? He's for sure not doing this year the same stuff he was doing last year, right? And he's using a million tokens. So the world is changing so fast right now. It wasn't always like that, okay? I mean, again, I'm like an old man to you, okay? I'm 58 years old. I was working when faxes were new, okay, and the internet just came out. But right now the world is moving so fast. So you're at a very specific point in history where being technical and being able to learn new skills is really the name of the game. It's the difference between those people who will be part of the market and get jobs and people who won't. Okay. And even though our community is a very traditional community and it's slow to adapt and there's a lot of anti-technology in our community, but even in our community, the Haredi community is online and needs cyber and needs people who understand it and its values. And that's one of the things our company does, and it's sort of special sauce. And the value that we bring is that we can go to a yeshiva or a seminary or a group, an organization, a nonprofit, or even an accounting company, and everybody there are Haredim, and they feel comfortable working with Haredim. And so that cultural connection is a big deal. And so we need people like you to learn this stuff in order to be able to provide the services that the market needs. But you have to turn yourselves into a professional that knows how to behave as a professional and deliver the goods. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Okay. So your CV is like a one pager, probably maybe 2 pages, um, because it's supposed to get you an interview. That's the point. If you get an interview, you can get a job. If you don't get an interview, you can't get a job. So it's very clear. It's supposed to be focused, sharp, and to the point. The people who want to hire you, they want to hire you or somebody else. So help them to get the job done. Okay, so be focused. Okay, so we're talking about marketing, okay, shivuk. And in marketing, and I'm teaching a marketing course in college this semester, and there's something called STP, which is segmenting, targeting, and positioning. So you're looking at different segments of the market, old people, young people, big companies, small companies, however you divide the market into all sorts of things. Then you pick the segments that you're targeting, and then you position yourself. I'm the quality brand. I'm the convenience brand. I'm the low price brand. What is your position in the segment that you're targeting? How are you marketing yourself? What are your brand values? Okay. There was a time a number of elections ago when John McCain was running for president of the U.S. and he was on Saturday Night Live. I think the last week before the election, and they did a funny thing where he positioned himself as a sad grandpa. Please vote for me. I'm a sad grandpa. So, don't let me be sad. Please vote for me, which is obviously a ridiculous thing. You're not going to get people to vote for you by being a sad grandpa. So the same thing. Oh, I'm a poor Beis Yaakov girl and I'm trying to be Mefarnes, Sabayit Shel Torah, and my husband learns all day. Could you please give me a job? That's a really weak, that's a weak pitch, okay? Don't market yourself as a poor Avrech or, Ani Bona, Bayit Shel Torah. It's beautiful. And Kol HaKavod, Ani Mod Marich et zeh. But that's not the way to get a job, okay? If you come in and say, I'm a fighter, I'm the kind of person that I like to learn stuff and do stuff and win and be the best at what I do. Okay. If you talk like that, then you're a winner and then they want you. Okay. And this is the same person, but it's how you present yourself and what are your professional values that you're projecting and communicating. And so that'll start in your CV. It'll continue in your job interview and it should continue in your professional persona every day you go to work. Okay, so this is the name of the game. It's a game, okay? Life is a game, and you got to play to win. So you want to brand yourself as a professional and the messaging, what words and how should I communicate? So use AI for that. Put your stuff into AI, and then it comes out of AI. Then personalize it. It should make things that you would say or could say, and so work with it. The way we work with I get some ideas, I put them in, it gives it back, I put it back, and go a few iterations using AI to help make it more professional and more me. Okay. The expression, I didn't show you that. I'm using a book called Knock 'em Dead by a guy named Yates. And he's the guru of getting a job, of job interview and CV and job search and so forth. And he says, people tell you, be yourself. And he says, don't be yourself, be your best professional self. Okay. Find the people that you respect that are good in this field and be like them. Decide you want to be like them, study them, and then become them and be them and live that. Okay. So be your best professional self. And if you do that over time, you will succeed and you'll earn a nice living and you'll live the life that you want to live. And if you don't, if you say, "Oh no, I'm just a Beis Yaakov girl, and I want to take off on Friday, and I want to be done on Thursday, and I have to do my nails, and I'm going away for Shabbos, and I'm babysitting for my nieces and nephews, and the hule v'chule." So employers, they don't have patience for that. That's not what they want to hear. And we've had it. We've had some people where there was a certain company that hired a bunch of our young women, and like before Rosh Hashanah, they all took sick days because they wanted to get ready for Yom Tif, and he was burning mad. He fired them basically because he's a professional. He has clients who there's deadlines, and so these people that are putting themselves and their own personal schedule in front of their professional responsibility, that sends a really strong message. You don't really care about the job and how our company looks and our professionalism and so forth. So these are important things. You got to grow into this, and you have to be there. You have to bring your best game. Okay, so I'm back in your headspace. Okay, you're thinking about your CV and what it's going to do here. So you've learned in the course, and you'll continue to learn strategic thinking. What is the hacker thinking? What are the vulnerabilities? How are they going to use this? How am I going to close that vulnerability and so forth? Like cat and mouse, right? They're chasing us and we're chasing them and so forth. So the same thing in almost every relationship. You want to be playing chess. You want to be thinking, if I do this move, what are they going to do? And then what am I going to do? And then what are they going to do? Okay. So that's critical and strategic thinking. So here in the job search, this thinking is they're hiring a person to do something important to them. They want to make more money. They want to solve a problem. They want to be more efficient, right? They're not hiring you because they want to support the Bayit Shel Torah. That never happened. Okay. They're not, if they want to give out tzedakah, they'll give out tzedakah. They're hiring you to solve a problem. So, so you need to understand their problem and show that you have the solution. I am the solution to your problem. You're looking to hire a pen tester, a compliance officer, whatever the job is, read everything about the job, and then find and show and communicate. I know what you need. I have it. I am that. Okay. That's what your CV should show. Use your CV to show you understand is what is necessary to succeed in this job for which you're applying, and you have it. Okay. Study all the available information on the company, the job, and the relevant issues, and then address them in your CV. Remember, the employer is your customer, and the customer is always right. Then you tell your story of who you are and what you've done and what you know how to do in a way that shows that you understand their pain and their needs and how you are going to solve it. Okay, that's the game. So this is, I said, think like a startup. A startup needs to address the pain point and offer a better solution than what's available. So it could be skills, personality, and learning ability. Those are your features. It could be education, projects, and internships, your minimum value proposition. Your employers are your clients, and your CV is your pitch deck. So again, I'm just giving a mushel that think of yourself like a company, and you're a young company, but you're talented, you're ambitious, you love to learn, you love to work hard. And so you're coming to set the world on fire with all your talent and skills and ambition. This is obvious. Your CV, and I've been around a long time, so I've seen a lot of CVs. And sometimes people tell ridiculous stories on their CV. Don't put anything on your CV that doesn't reflect well on you. Your CV doesn't need to say what you did every year since seventh grade. So if you took a year off, or you're a mother and you're coming back to work now in your 40s, you don't need to say I took off, 8 years to raise my children. It's okay that you did, v'zelo busha, but it's not interesting. Zelo mosif on your CV, so don't put it there. Okay, your CV should only have selling points. It should only tell a winning story about the great things that you know how to do, that you have done, and that you want to do. Okay, so you get to decide what you tell. So only tell good things about yourself. Okay, it's not therapy, it's not, none of that. Your CV is a selling document. Okay. So, like I said, every position you apply for, it's to make money, to save money, or to increase productivity. So your CV should tell your story to demonstrate how you're going to do this. Any other information is really a distraction. It's not relevant. I don't care. Okay. Oh, remember, how long are they going to look at your CV? It's a very important document, and yet they're going to look at it for seconds. Okay. There's a number 45 that's too high. They're going to look at it for 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. The first thing that we'll look at it is a computer looking for keywords. So it does have to have keywords. But if it gets into the hand of a human being, they're going to look at it and look for some words or what jumps out at them. So it's very important that your CV tells a visual story and certain things jump out that express your strengths, because the amount of time that you have to make this sale is very limited. It's seconds, okay? There's something called a TJD. Again, this is from Mr. Yates, Martin Yates. And the TJD means a target job deconstruction. You're looking at what the job includes, because you don't really know, right? You're young and they're trying to hire a certain security analyst or specialist, compliance specialist, whatever it is. So you got to Google that. You got to put that in AI. You have to see what are the skills, what are the character traits of a person who's good at that job. Okay. So then you've learned, now you know what you should say about yourself. And we're never lying. Okay. We're not going to tell things that are not true, but we're going to tell the story in a way that matches what they're looking for. I'm going to tell my story, but I'm a multifaceted person. I have different parts of me. So which parts should I emphasize? How should I tell my story? And that depends on what I'm applying for. So obviously, if I'm applying for two different jobs and they're two different job titles, I'm not going to send the same CV to those two jobs. Each CV is going to reflect what they're looking for. Okay. And that's not dishonest. That's marketing. So you have to tailor and adjust your message for your target client, for your target niche, right? For your audience. So again, that's Aleph Base. It's the ABCs of marketing, and that's what we're talking about. And again, we're not talking about anything unethical or dishonest. We're talking about how to tell your story. Okay. And if you don't have the right story for this job, then don't apply. Okay. If you don't think you're the right person, so forget it. Find something better. So when you do find a job that you're applying for because you believe that you're going to do a great job and be an excellent professional and deliver value to this company, well, then you got to make your case strongly. And if you don't believe that you can deliver value, so don't apply, right? So it's binary. It's either one or zero. Either you apply with everything you've got and tell your story in a targeted, focused way, convincing way, or you decide this is not for me. I don't have that stuff, and so forget it. I'll go somewhere else. Okay. I want to talk about using AI. And again, I know that you know this already, that AI is a tool, but it's not a substitute for thinking, right? So you got to use AI. First of all, like if I say, send me your CV, you're like, oh, I don't have a CV. How do I start? And sometimes students say, could you send me a sample? Like maybe 3 years ago, that was acceptable. Really not, because you could Google it and say, entry level cyber professional, and you could get a template online. But today with AI, to ask someone to send you a sample CV is like totally pathetic and ridiculous, because you could just go to AI and say, help me draft my CV. That's not how you should do it. But you obviously have a way to start. You don't have a blank page problem. The AI is going to help you improve wording, professionalism. It's going to help tailor your CV to specific job descriptions. It's going to save you time, but it does not know your experience, all the things you've done. So you, of course, have to review and correct everything. AI is not going to get you the job, but knowing how to use AI properly can make you and your CV significantly stronger. So definitely do use AI in crafting your CV. Right way, wrong way, wrong way. Write me a CV for cybersecurity. Okay, that's generic, weak, and fake sounding. The right way is give AI your real experience. Tell whether using Chat or Claude or Gemini, whatever you use. Tell it your project you did in the course. I did a project in this, this, and this. What interests me is this, this, and this. I'm really fascinated by this. So give it all this information about where you want to go, what you know, what you've done. Tell it your skills. Then, of course, put in the information the job description, like whether it's an advertisement or somebody sent you or on a website, whatever it is, put that into the AI and then say, help me tailor my CV to this role. That's an intelligent prompt to give AI to help craft your CV for that role. Okay. Every job opportunity gets its own CV. I told you that. The key idea is tailoring your CV. So AI is going to help you match the keywords, highlight relevant skills, reframe your experience. This is huge for ATS, applicant tracking systems. Like we said, the first thing to look at your CV will probably be a computer. So here's my CV, paste it. Here's the job description, paste that. If you already do have your draft CV, and say now I'm applying for a little bit different job. So, you upload your CV, you put in the whatever information you have about the company and the job description, and then CV is going to suggest improvements to align my CV. It's going to rewrite my bullets to sound more professional. It's going to highlight any missing skills that I should add. Maybe I didn't think of that for this job, you should mention that you know how to use Wireshark, whatever. And you do know how to use Wireshark, but it wasn't relevant to the other job that you applied for. For this one, it is. And AI knows that. So it's not going to let you forget that. Of course, keep everything truthful and realistic. Okay. This is really what we said. Make my CV appealing for a junior SOC analyst role. Okay, that's part of the prompt. You're good. Let me tell you, an AI for project and no experience. Okay, a lot of you are really young, and so you don't have job experience. So obviously, you don't need to write on your CV job experience, none. Okay, that's really stupid. Don't do that. Instead, make your CV about your skills, okay? And maybe it'll have cyber skills and other professional skills and maybe professional values. But don't put something like experience none. That's really stupid, right? So AI will help you frame and present your projects. Instead of did a lab on Wireshark, AI helps turn into analyze network traffic using Wireshark to identify anomalies and understand packet level communication. Okay, so that's good. Then the person looking at your CV knows a little bit about what you know and what you've done. So AI can help convert labs to experience, courses and skills, practice achievements. Help me turn my cybersecurity labs into professional CV bullet points. Okay, so again, everything you do in the course and all the skills you learn, that's all part of the game and part of the value that you want to present as your professional persona that you want to put into your CV and ultimately bring to your job interview. I hope to share something else with you about job interview, but I'll just say really briefly, there's different kinds of job interviews, and for a lot of serious jobs, you have more than one interview. The first one might be with an HR woman, the second one might be with a technical person, and the third one might be with the boss. And the topics of those three meetings are going to be different. And you should be prepared with different questions and for different questions based on who you're going to speak with. And you don't know for sure, but that's basically the order of things, right? It starts sort of in general, then it gets into detailed technical, and then it gets into management. So you want to be thinking in that direction. So what to do with AI workflow, get a template from AI for ideas, write the CV, a rough draft yourself, use the AI to improve the wording, tailor the CV to the job, review, submit. Do not invent experience. Okay, don't lie about, oh, I worked here and there if you didn't. Do not exaggerate certifications. Do not copy blindly. Basically, not only is it unethical and wrong, but it won't work. Okay, you'll get found out. So just don't do it. You have to realize getting a job is a job and it's a process. It's not a day or a week. It's not even a month. It's a significant period of time. Okay. It's a hard thing to do. This course is not easy, but finding a job is even harder. Okay. And even though we're going to help you, but it's a tough thing. Shidduchim are a hard thing. And you could meet a lot of boys or, young women, and it takes until you find the right person. It's not easy, and some people never do. So it's a challenge. It's that kind of thing. It's hashgacha pratis. Okay, it's kriyas yamsuf. Parnasa's kriyas yamsuf. Shidduchim are kriyas yamsuf. So it's a serious process that you got to put your whole self in it. You can't just fall out of bed, drink iced coffee, and think, oh yeah, I'll do it. No, you have to put yourself out there and fight and swim and give it everything you got, and then maybe you can succeed. Okay. So you have to take this very seriously if you want it to work for you. Again, you can succeed in this. This can change your life. This could be a reason to get a good shidduch because you already have a good job and you're making a lot of money, and some chashav yeshiva bacher wants to marry you because you're really smart, Beis Yaakov girl that has a great job. That could work for you. We have people, that's their life story, okay? And they're today, fancy and earning really well and maybe supporting their husband. So, that is a way, but it didn't happen stam. It happened through really hard work and focus. So that's the name of the game. Okay. This is more in your previous job experience. You want to focus on accomplishments and achievements and your successes, but that's less relevant for first CVs. Sometimes you need to have a cover letter. Okay, not always, but sometimes you have a cover letter. First impressions are important. Things should be graphically pleasant to look at. I've had ridiculous. I'm frozen. Excuse me. I've had situations where people sent me a CV which was like a Word file, really, really simple and pathetic. And it showed me they didn't take themselves seriously. They were not a serious professional. It wasn't. I'll tell you even more. And some of you are Israelis, maybe all. And I will even say this right now without embarrassing anybody. Racheli and Mordche and Avram Rubeni, you should really use capital letters for the first letter of your name. Okay. A lot of Israelis, don't really know that, or they don't care. They don't think it's important. It's important. Okay. So certainly in your CV, the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name should be a capital letter. And so if I get a CV from somebody and they didn't even know enough or care enough to capitalize the letters of their name, so like, come on, is that professional? So it's something your Gmail account and all the places that you show up online. LinkedIn is a whole separate discussion, but you want to present yourself in a professional way. That if you're working for a company, you're going to represent the company and make them look good, not make them look like amateurs, right? So that's important. Okay. As I said before, your CV doesn't have to tell everything you've done in your life. The format doesn't need to be chronological, it can be functional. It's about your skills and what you know how to do. I like to put on it your certification. And even if you don't have any certification, put what you're studying for and the date that you plan to take the test. Okay, you're studying for your Security Plus or EJPT or whatever you're doing, and put a date that shows me what are your ambitious? What are you working towards? So that's a good sign, because one of the main signs of success in this industry of cyber is ongoing learning, the desire to keep learning, the persistence, the diligence to keep learning. That's like a really big, key factor for success. Okay, what goes in and what goes out. Don't put things that aren't relevant. You don't need to put a picture of yourself. You don't need to call it CV, or, you don't need to say your age. Okay, your age, if you're only, 17, 18, 19, it's not in your favor, but you don't need to say it, so don't. Okay. Certifications, like I just said, are good. Skills, projects that you've done, even a link to a GitHub thing that you've uploaded is good. Use short sentences. Don't use big words to try to inflate yourself. AI will help you with that. It'll make it in a professional voice, but not, pretending to be something that you're not. It doesn't have to be only one page, but I would say two is the maximum as a young professional. There's websites that can help you with this, but I don't think you need them given your access to AI. LinkedIn is a separate schmooze. These are sites where you can find out about companies that might be hiring, professional forums. Your LinkedIn, here's an important point that I will say about LinkedIn now, and that is, as soon as you're ready to be on LinkedIn as a junior cyber professional, or however you decide to title yourself, make sure whatever CV you send doesn't contradict your LinkedIn profile. You're not going to change your LinkedIn profile for every job you send a CV to, but there shouldn't be contradictions. So be careful about that. It is something you should think about and look at. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is supporting the story that you're telling through your CV. They need to match, not word for word, but there shouldn't be something that they catch you on that, oh, it says on LinkedIn this and it says in my CV that, that shouldn't happen. As we said, getting a job is a job. And so you got to, manage it, manage the process. So you want to have a file of where you applied for and when did you speak to them. I sent them my CV. I called back to see, and they said call next week. And so you got to keep track of this process. I had someone, a very successful woman, a very from woman, and she was first in Amsterdam, but now they're back in Antwerpen. And she said her goal was to send one CV a day, okay, which was an ambitious goal, but she did it persistently and she got a great job and she's now moved on higher and higher and she's working in it. And she's really from and really smart and really good at what she does. And she's a really good professional. And she talked about how she works with these Goyim in Belgium and she doesn't particularly like them. But they like her enough, but she's very protective of her privacy. And she's like, I'm not going to socialize with you. If you guys want to go out for beer at the end of the day, bavakasha, you're welcome to. I'm not coming. I'm a nerd. I want to go home to my children and my husband. And she made that really clear. She made really clear boundaries about who she is. So she's like, I'm totally into this and I love cyber and I'm happy to work with you. And the other workers on the team, they had the ability to blackball her. Like she had to, in the interview process, meet them and they got to decide if they were hiring her. So she's an attractive and a personable person, but she's again very firm and sort of stiff. And she wasn't gonna, buddy with them and drink beer with them in order to get a job. So she has really clear boundaries. She's really firm and successful and wonderful. So you can do that, but you got to be tough, you got to be smart, and you got to be ready to fight. Okay. So that is what it's about. I thank you all for listening. I'm here when you're ready to send me your first draft CV at any time. It could be tomorrow, it could be in 6 months. I'm happy to give you guidance. I hope to come back. I'm usually busy on Sunday nights. That's why I don't get to see you more because that's when I'm teaching my college courses. But I do hope to talk about maybe job interviews or other career soft skills at some point in the future. But anyway, don't ever be shy about reaching out to me. jaredsolman@gmail.com is what I like to use. And I'm wishing you continued bracha v'tzlacha. You're really lucky. You have a great teacher. We love Aaron. He's a really wonderful professional, and he's really done it, and he continues to do it and grow. And so he's a model for success. So thank you everybody for being here this evening. Any questions right now? Okay.
I would just add one thing.
Yes, Aaron.
My for where my wife was reviewing resumes for where she works, she was in charge of reviewing resumes. Out of 30 resumes, 2 were relevant.
Wow.
And probably the worst mistake that we saw was basically a copy-pasted ChatGPT prompt. So like when you say, hey, ChatGPT, write me a resume, and it writes a resume, and then it says, if you'd like, I could make this sound a little more friendly, right? Like that was in there. So that's a no. Like, and a capitalization, like, the way you write emails, like, don't say like, I don't know, hey, like hello. There's these little differences, like how you write, and maybe and someone whose native is עברית, זה קשה לדעת, כאילו, למה זה כן בסדר להגיד hello, ולמה hey זה לא. אז בסדר, תשאל את הצ'אט גם, כאילו, הצ'אט גם יכול לעזור לכם להבין שהמילה הזה זה קצת סלנגי, המילה הזה לא. כאילו, לחשוב על זה.
Yeah, you have to invest thought in the details because they matter, and they'll throw out they get more CVs than they need, right? She got 30 CVs, but there's only one job, and it turned out it was easy to throw away 28 of them because there was nonsense in them. So it came down to 2 candidates. That's usually how it goes. You get a pile of CVs, a lot of them are totally not relevant, and so you get down to a small group that are relevant. You want to be in that group. You want to do it and get it. Okay, thank you, Aaron, for your input. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Bracha v'atzlacha.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Kol
Thank you,
tov.
Aaron.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.